Hello everyone, Board Game Lawyer here. It is a Wednesday evening and I am going to play some Marvel Champions from Fantasy Flight Games. So let's get down to the table and see what I'm in the mood to play with this evening. As some of the viewers know, I really like Precon decks. I think they're really clever. I think it was an interesting model that Fantasy Flight came up with to introduce new characters into the game and introduce more cards into the card pool, but I do like to challenge myself from time to time to play a Precon deck. And so this evening I'm going to be playing with Nebula. I'm going to be using her Precon deck, and I'm going to take it up against our old buddy, the Taskmaster. So what is the Taskmaster all about? Well, let's take a look at his main scheme. The Taskmaster's main scheme says that we are using Taskmaster 1 and 2 because we're playing in Standard tonight. And we're going to be using the Hydra Patrol, which is a recommended modular set, and one Standard encounter set, and one modular encounter set, which is Weapon Master. So I'm using the recommended contents of Taskmaster this evening. The setup says to set each captive ally aside out of play, search the encounter deck for Hydra Patrol and put it into play, and shuffle the encounter deck. Alright, so if I look down here at the bottom of the screen and I look over where the encounter cards are, yeah, we'll see that there are 4 cards here that are representing the captive allies. They're face down. I'll go ahead and shuffle those while I'm thinking about it. Alright, those are shuffled. And let's go back to our main scheme. So we've got those set aside. We've got the encounter deck searched for the Hydra Patrol, and we put the Hydra Patrol into play. And then shuffle the encounter deck. So here's our Hydra Patrol. It says, when defeated, each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a Hydra minion and puts it into play. Engage with them. And then we shuffle the encounter deck. There's a crisis icon on there. So although there is only 2 threat on the Hydra Patrol, there's a crisis icon, meaning I cannot remove threat from the main scheme. And when I defeat this, I have to go find a Hydra minion and put it into play. Engage with me. So, yeah, so that brings a minion out into play. Let's take a look at our main scheme again. Let's go ahead and flip it over. And it says, on side 1B, that we are hunting down heroes. It says the notorious Taskmaster has been appointed Hydra's chief of police. His top priority is hunting down the outlaw heroes, which they are outlaws. Force response: after resolving step 1 of the villain phase, each player in hero form must choose to either place 1 threat here or take 1 damage. If the stage is completed, the players lose the game, so it is just a simple 1 card main scheme. It begins with 1 threat on it, and we add 1 threat each turn. And then we choose, when we're in hero form, to either place 1 threat here or to take 1 damage. And that's a hard one to remember sometimes, that forced response. And I don't know how to make it any easier, so I just have to quit being old and forgetful. Alright, so Taskmaster is a Hydra mercenary. He's a villain with a scheme of 1 and an attack of 2. There is a force response. After a player changes to hero form, they discard the top card of the encounter deck and take damage equal to the number of boost icons on that card. So that's when we flip to hero form. So Taskmaster doesn't like heroes, apparently. Even though he mimics them, steals their powers, reflects their powers right back in their face, he still wants to punish them for showing up, so I like it. Alright, what's a Nebula all about? So she has a recovery of 3 in her alter ego form. She's also an outlaw. She has cybernetic upgrades, which is a response. After you play a technique upgrade, draw 2 cards, and you can do this a limit of once per round. So that's her special ability in her alter ego form, which is pretty cool, I think. Alright, so, and then let's flip over to the hero side to just see what she does over there. So now she's got some nice round stats. She's got 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 defense. She has combat protocols, which is a force response. After your turn begins, resolve the special ability on each technique upgrade you control, then discard each technique upgrade resolved this way. Something to keep in mind if you decide to play a Precon deck with Nebula, and that I have noticed, is that it's not the actual Precon deck that's loaded into the database. So there's one card off. I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head, and it has been a while since I've checked, but I don't think anything has changed since any updates. So what I did was I went on the Marvel database and went ahead and built a Precon deck, and I loaded it into the system. So you'll be mindful of that the Nebula Precon deck is not accurate on Octagon. All right, so let's take a look. I haven't mulliganed yet. Let me flip back over to my hero alter ego form. So we have Determination, which is a resource, max 1 per deck, hero response. After you spend this card, remove 1 threat from the main scheme. And kind of a bummer to have right now, because you'll notice that the Hydra Patrol has a crisis icon, meaning that I can't remove threat off of the main scheme. So Determination may be a card that I decide to ditch here early. Maybe. I'm not sure. We may use her 2 thwart to remove that Hydra Patrol. Let's see what else we got in our hand, though. We got One Way or Another, which is a great card. Search the encounter deck for a side scheme, reveal that side scheme, draw 3 cards. This is probably Taskmaster's bane, is One Way or Another, because you can go and retrieve your allies. Takes a little work, but you can get your free allies that way. We've got one of those upgrades that she likes, her technique. While Nebula's in hero form, reduce the amount of damage she takes from each attack by 1. That's great. And we got 2 of them, so that might be cool. And then we've got Brains Over Brawn, and we got 2 copies of that. We don't need 2 copies of that. After your hero makes a basic thwart, deal damage to an enemy equal to your hero's thwart. Now that might be kind of cool actually to use, but it's going to cost 2. I'm going to keep one of these, because if I go find a Hydra minion, I guess I could probably pull off that event after your hero makes a basic thwart, because that's a when defeated ability, and this is a hero response. So the when defeated will go off for sure, and then the hero response to it. Yeah, that may be worth keeping, that Brains Over Brawn. We're going to keep both the wide stances. I'm going to toss Determination. Yeah, I'll toss Determination. I'm probably not. I'd rather maybe have something else. All right, so I got to draw 2 cards, and that is Lethal Intent. This is a hero action. Choose up to X technique upgrades you control. Resolve each of their special abilities in the order of your choice. So X is the cost. So you can choose up to X technique upgrades you control. All right, and then one more, and that is the Genius card. Ooh, and that might be good to pay for that Brains Over Brawn. So let's pair those together for now. We are going to spend a resource to put out Wide Stance. So let's spend. Okay, I'll spend Wide Stance. Should I use an upgrade to pay for an upgrade? It says while Nebula is in hero form, so this would reduce damage that she would take by 2 if I have both of these out. So I'm going to use Lethal Intent. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Lethal Intent is how I'm going to pay for that Wide Stance. And then her ability with the cybernetic upgrade says after you play a technique upgrade, draw 2 cards, and you can do this a limit of once per round. So let's grab 2 cards. I've got First Aid, and I've also got Energy, another double resource. Okay. I'm going to flip over to my hero form. Downside to that is Mr. Taskmaster's force response. After a player changes the hero form, they discard the top card of the encounter deck, take damage equal to the number of boost icons on that card. Number of boost icons is 1, so I will take 1 damage into Nebula. All right, very good. Discard that. I have One Way or Another. Search the encounter deck for a side scheme, reveal that side scheme, and draw 3 cards. Let's do it. We're going to play One Way or Another. I'm going to search through the encounter deck for a side scheme. Let's look at all those. All right. Captured by Hydra. That's my favorite one. All right. So we'll close and shuffle the encounter deck. What does Captured by Hydra say? It says when revealed, place 1 random set aside captive ally face down beneath the scheme. When the scheme is defeated, the player who defeated it takes that ally into their hand, removes this scheme from the game. Alright, so we need to go over and we need to... Okay, so if I need to draw this face down. Draw unrevealed. There it is. We're going to put that face down underneath captured by Hydra. Let's bring this back to the front. So we do have that captured ally underneath captured by Hydra now. When revealed, place one random set aside captive ally face down beneath it. When it's defeated, okay, so it's got 5 threat on it. It does have that acceleration token on it, so you got to really be careful with getting too many of those on the table right away. So we got one way or another that we played. So this text says that after we reveal that side scheme, we draw 3 cards. So here's our 3 cards. 1 is Justice Served. Love it. After you thwart and remove the last threat from a scheme, discard Justice Served. Ready your hero. That's great. I like that one. We also got Nebula's Ship. Perfect. That is a great one to have here at the beginning of the game. And then one more, and that is the Weapons Master. While in hero form, Nebula gains Retaliate of 1. Ooh. Deal 4 damage to an enemy is the special. Yes, I like it. Okay, so discarding one way or another. I gotta put Nebula's Ship in play. That is just so... Should I say stinking awesome to put that out? So Nebula's Ship is out, and we can exhaust Nebula's Ship to generate a wild resource. All right. So with Nebula, we are going to exhaust her. Right? Oh no. Should we put that? Yeah, let's put the Justice Served out onto the table. I'm going to put Justice Served underneath Hydra Patrol. On Hydra Patrol. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Hero response. After you thwart, remove the last threat from a scheme. Discard Justice Served, ready your hero. So it's not necessarily to put it on that side scheme. But that's the one I'm definitely going to target with it. So we're going to put Justice Served on the table. And I'm going to pay for it with a first aid card. Okay. Now with Nebula, we exhaust her to remove 2 threat off of the Hydra Patrol. Okay. Hydra Patrol says, when defeated, each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a Hydra minion and puts it into play. Engage with them and shuffle the encounter deck. So where do we look for it? In the encounter deck and discard pile for a Hydra minion. So let's go find one. All right, looking through the encounter deck, all cards. And we're going to find, there's the Hydra Hunter. I'm looking for maybe a cheapy minion to put out there. Ooh, look at that one. We got the Hydra Regular. And this says that we search the encounter deck and discard pile for a Hydra minion, put it into play, engage with him, and shuffle the encounter deck. So we are not going to reveal the Hydra Regular. We're going to simply put the Hydra Regular into play, engage with us. I'm going to close and shuffle the encounter deck. Right? Yes. And Justice Served. I used first aid to pay for it. I still have Nebula's Ship on the table. I haven't used that wild resource yet. But now we're going to trigger some of these responses. So the first response we're going to play is Brains Over Brawn. It says, after your hero makes a basic thwart, deal damage to an enemy equal to your hero's thwart. So I could spend 2 resources to play that and do 2 damage to that Hydra Regular, which we need to discard the Hydra Patrol first, and then we're going to discard the Hydra Regular. Okay. Because of that Brains Over Brawn. So we'll discard that card along with our double resource that we paid for that with. Justice Served goes off. So it says, after you thwart and remove the last threat from a scheme, discard Justice Served to ready your hero. We're going to discard that. We'll ready Nebula. And then using Nebula's wild resource, we're going to put out Weapons Master. So now I'll have Retaliate of 1. The special is to deal 4 damage to an enemy. While Nebula is in hero form, reduce the amount of damage she takes from each attack. Okay, so force response. After your turn begins, resolve the special ability on each technique upgrade you control, then discard each technique upgrade resolved this way. So I'm going to hang on to wide stance just to make sure that I have another one of these in my hand going into the next round. I'm going to exhaust Nebula to remove 2 threat from captured by Hydra. And then that's going to end my turn. Let's advance the phase. Let's turn things back over to Taskmaster. Let's see what we got in our hands. So we got wide stance. We also got the Power of Justice. We got Wraith Combat Ready, which is an alter ego action. And I have Lethal Intent, which is an event. All right, so those are the cards that I have. Hunting down heroes. So we place 1 threat onto the hunting down heroes. Then we trigger the forced response, which is after resolving step 1 of the villain phase, each player in hero form must choose to either place 1 threat here or take 1 damage. I think I'm going to place... Well, I have to place an additional threat there, remember, because I have captured by Hydra on the table. So now it's up to 3. I really don't want that to get close to 12. And I'm likely going to try to flip down this turn. So I will take the damage. So that takes Nebula down to 7. Bad decision, possibly. Taskmaster is going to now attack me for 2, plus this card, which is 3. Ooh, he hits me for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm down to 2. Discard Taskmaster Shield. And the encounter card that is dealt is this one right here. And that is the Combat Knife. It tells us to attach it to the villain. Attach the villain attacks, gain piercing, spend a fist or a mental resource to discard this card. Now Taskmaster has an attack of 3. Oof. Not good. And I'm going to attach that to him. I'm just going to move these cards over, put that attachment right next to Taskmaster there. That's going to end Taskmaster's turn, but he did a world of hurt on me that time. I'm down 7 health already after the round 1. And I haven't even scratched his hide yet. So, all right, let's advance the phase, turn things back over to Nebula. Now, she has these combat protocols, which is a force response. After your turn begins, resolve the special... Oh, by the way, when he attacked... Ooh, I forgot I had the wide stance. Nebula is in hero form, reduce the amount of damage she takes from each attack by 1, so I should actually be up to 3 right now. And I did actually scratch him because the Weapons Master gave me Retaliate, so -1 Taskmaster. There you go, take that. All right. Okay, what do I got in my hand? I've got Combat Ready. Shuffle up to 2 technique upgrades from your discard pile into your deck. Discard cards on the top of your deck until you discard a technique upgrade. Put that upgrade into play, then resolve its special ability. That's an alter ego action. I like it. All right. So I got Wraith. He's a little pricey. He costs 3, but he does remove a threat. And Nebula can remove some threat too. So I'm just kind of crafting my turn here, kind of looking ahead. The wide stance goes off, which says look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, discard 1, and put the others back in any order. So let's do that one first. Let's look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. I'm just going to deal them out here onto the table. So we've got Captured by Hydra. Ooh, we don't want to discard that one for sure. We've got Weapons Master, which is a 1 boost. And then we've got this card here, which is an Assault. That one would be great to draw for a... Yeah, I think I definitely want to discard Weapons Master. That's what we're going to do. Discard that. Then we're going to put Captured by Hydra on top of my deck, on top of the encounter deck. And then Assault goes on top of that. I think I played that correctly. Look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. Discard 1, put the others back in any order. That's the order I want. So discarding wide stance now, unfortunately. Discarding that. And then the Weapons Master goes off, which is a special deal, 4 damage to an enemy. We're going to hit Mr. Taskmaster for 4, knocking him down to 8. Good. All right, I like it. I'm going to put Wraith on the table. Wraith has a hero interrupt. It says when a boost card is turned face up, exhaust Wraith and deal 1 damage to him. Cancel that card's boost effect. Okay. It's going to cost us that Nebula ship, right? And it's going to cost us the power of justice to put out Wraith. Advantage is, and I need to get rid of that Weapon Master card. Advantage is that now I can take care of that Captured by Hydra card. If I exhaust Nebula to remove 2 threat from Captured by Hydra, and then I exhaust Wraith, dealing him 1 consequential damage, but that removes the last threat off of Captured by Hydra. So now Captured by Hydra says, when the scheme is defeated, the player who defeated it takes that ally into their hand and removes this scheme from the game. So we're going to throw Captured by Hydra into the victory display, and we're going to bring this card into our hand. It's going to flip over. It's Shang-Chi. It says, hero response. After you play Shang-Chi from your hand, spend an energy resource and stun the enemy. And I think he can be stunned. Yep, there's nothing preventing Taskmaster from being stunned, so that's wonderful. Do I have an energy resource? I do have an energy resource, but it's attached to my wide stance. That's something to keep in mind for down the road. Nebula ship gives us that wild resource. If we get other of these allies in our hand, we could use that Nebula ship for that wild resource to trigger their ability. But I definitely think we want to stun Taskmaster, so let's do that. I'm going to put Shang-Chi out on the table. After you play Shang-Chi from your hand, spend a energy resource to stun an enemy. We're going to do that. The wide stance is going to go off. We're going to stun Taskmaster, which is always good. So then we have combat ready. I could flip down to my alter ego form, which may not be a bad idea. I might start off by, or I could use both of these cards, remain in hero form, and get rid of that combat knife. And that'll knock Taskmaster down a notch. He won't have that combat knife. He won't have piercing. I think that's what I'm going to do. I've got a mental and I've got a physical resource in my hand. I'm going to spend both of those. Bad idea probably, but we're getting rid of the combat knife. And then Shang-Chi is going to tag. Nope, Shang-Chi is going to remove 2 threat from hunting down heroes, which brings it back down to 1. And yeah. Oh. You know what? I'm going to flip down because remember how I stacked the deck? Now that he's stunned, that side scheme won't come out into play. So I am going to flip down. It probably is not a bad idea anyway. My health is getting pretty low, so I'm going to flip to alter ego form. I am going to place 1 consequential damage onto Shang-Chi, and that will advance the phase. Okay. All right. What I draw into my hand, I got a one way or another. I got Gamora. I got Cutthroat Ambition, Venom. I got a nice hand here. I got an upgrade, which is a technique. That's great. Okay. I have definite options here for my next turn. I like it. So we're going to place 1 threat on hunting down heroes. Taskmaster is going to scheme for 1 plus this. We know what it is. It's an assault. So he's only going to place 1 threat on the main scheme. So we'll discard assault. The encounter card that's dealt is, we knew what it was, Captured by Hydra. It's now on the table. And of course the when revealed ability says place a captive ally face down beneath the scheme. When the scheme is defeated, the player who defeated it takes that ally into their hand and removes this scheme from the game. Excellent. So let's go find another captive ally. We'll deal it, draw unrevealed. We'll place it underneath captured by Hydra, bring it to the front. And that's the end of Taskmaster's turn. Alright. So now if I put a technique out, I can draw cards. I don't know what I want to use. So I got Cutthroat Ambition. When Nebula's in hero form, her attacks gain piercing and overkill. Her special is to remove 3 threat from a scheme, which sounds good. I got Gamora. After you play it, Gamora, choose a technique upgrade you control, then resolve its special ability. Ooh, okay. So if I got Cutthroat Ambition out on the table and I'm able to put out Gamora, oh, that could be wonderful. That Captured by Hydra could, yeah. There's things I can do. I'm excited. So I'm going to spend Venom. Venom is going to be a resource, and we're going to put Cutthroat Ambition out onto the table. So Cutthroat Ambition out there. While Nebula's in hero form, her attacks gain piercing and overkill. Piercing and overkill. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. Okay, now because I did play that technique on the table, I get to draw 2 cards. And one is Arrows. I like Arrows. And the other one is Lethal Intent, which is hero action. Choose up to X technique upgrades you control. Resolve each of their special abilities in the order of your choice. Okay. And there's another one way or another. Wow. They're... Wraith. When a boost card is turned face up. Alright, so I got some choice. I think what I need to do, I do need to heal Nebula. So she's back at least up to 6. If I put Gamora out on the table right now, let me just make sure of this other one. It says Unyielding Persistence. While in hero form, Nebula gets +1 thwart, +1 attack, and gains Stalwart. Give Nebula a tough status card. Oh, those are good. That's a good one. So putting Gamora on the table, it's going to cost me some resources. So we're going to spend Eros, and we're going to spend Strength. Her response, after you play Gamora, choose a technique upgrade you control, then resolve its special ability. So the technique upgrade I'm targeting here is to remove 3 threat from a scheme. So Captured by Hydra, we're removing 3 threat from Captured by Hydra. And then Gamora, we're going to exhaust her to remove 2 more threat off of Captured by Hydra. So we're going to send Captured by Hydra to the victory display. It won't show up again. Oh, take that off. And draw this card into my hand, and it is Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight says, after you play Moon Knight from your hand, spend a wild resource and draw 2 cards. Cool. So I've already got Shang-Chi on the table, and now I've got Gamora on the table, who needs to take consequential damage. I got Cutthroat Ambition. Let's move Shang-Chi over here. Let's just kind of make ourselves some room here. Let's put Gamora out. I do want to get Moon Knight on the table. Yeah, Moon Knight. Let's get Moon Knight out there. So Wraith is going to attack Taskmaster for 3. We're going to hit Taskmaster for 1, 2, 3. Knocks him down to 5. And Wraith takes 2 consequential damage, so he's gone. Discard him. Now we bring Moon Knight out into play. He's free. Now I got 3 allies on the table. I'm going to spend that wild resource from Nebula's ship to draw 2 cards. So we draw a Justice Served card, and we draw Daughters of Thanos. Ooh, it's a team up. Gamora and Nebula, max 1 per deck, hero action, draw 3 cards. Nice. Unyielding Persistence. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to flip into my hero form, which is going to trigger Taskmaster's force response. Drawing a card, I take 1 damage. So I'm knocked down to 5. Discard Concussion Grenade. One way or another. Let's do it. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for a side scheme, reveal that side scheme, and draw 3 cards. So let's look again at all cards in the encounter deck. Let's find, whoops, don't want to do that. I want to look at the encounter deck, not my deck. I didn't cheat. I don't know what's there. I didn't examine. I just saw that there were hero cards getting flung out. All cards. Here is another Captured by Hydra. We'll put that out there on the table. Close and shuffle. And I'm going to draw 3 cards as a result of one way or another. So 1, 2, and 3. Heroic Intuition, First Aid, and Evasive Maneuvering. Discard that. I think I'm going to play Daughters of Thanos now, where it's a team up, max 1 per deck. Hero action, draw 3 cards. I'll spend Heroic Intuition to, oh, by the way, before I do that, I need to go and find that captured ally. Draw Unrevealed. Place it underneath Captured by Hydra. Okay. Don't want to forget to do that. And then we're going to use that Heroic Intuition. We're going to spin that to play Daughters of Thanos. That's 1 resource to draw 3 cards. We're going to draw another Heroic Intuition. Got it back. I got a Cutthroat Ambition. And I've got Knowledge, or Nowhere. Let's look at Lethal Intent, because this could be really interesting. It says, hero action, choose up to X technique upgrades you control. Resolve each of their special abilities in the order of your choice. So if I spend 1 resource for Cutthroat Ambition, I'll be able to remove 3 threat from a scheme, and then I'll be able to start to work on getting another ally in my hand. If I put Justice Served onto Captured by Hydra, and I'm able to use that Lethal Intent to use the Cutthroat Ambition, is that the same as let's see, after you thwart and remove the last threat from a scheme, that is a thwart, then discard Justice Served and ready your hero. So I've got a couple of Cutthroat Ambitions. I also have Nowhere. Play only if your identity has the Guardian trait. Increase your ally limit by 1. Wouldn't that be great? After a player plays a Guardian ally, exhaust Nowhere, that player draws a card. I'm not sure how many Guardian allies I've got in here. That's one question I have. All right, so I'm going to put out another Cutthroat Ambition, and I'm going to spend a Heroic Intuition to do that. Evasive Maneuvering is a technique. It says, and what's her special? Remove 3 threat, remove 3 threat. While Nebula's in hero form, her attacks gain piercing and overkill. Okay, and then we've got Unyielding Persistence. Is while in hero form, Nebula gets +1 thwart, +1 attack, and gains stalwart. And the special is to give Nebula a tough status card. Good. Okay. I'm going to spend Nowhere. I'm not going to use Nowhere, unfortunately. Well, let's see. Increase your ally limit by 1. Maybe I need to play Nowhere, because I can get those free allies out like crazy. And I'm getting ready to deck myself. So maybe I spend some cash and put out Nowhere. Let's do it. Spend $2. I'm going to spend First Aid. And I'm going to spend... yeah, I guess that's what I'm going to do. Evasive Maneuvering. Yeah. Evasive Maneuvering. And justice, or what I spend, first aid. Let's see, what did I put over there? I put nowhere to the table. I'm using first aid to pay for it, and I'm going to use justice served to pay for it. So nowhere's out. I'm going to spend... Let's see. Is that the right decision? Unyielding persistence. Give Nebula a tough status card. Lethal intent. Evasive maneuvering. Choose a stun or confuse an enemy. Maybe I'll hang on to, well, justice served. That'll help me to get that completed. Yeah, justice served. That's what I'm spending to put nowhere out there. So I can at least increase my ally limit by 1. Now if I spend 2 resources, evasive maneuvering and unyielding persistence, I can trigger both cutthroat ambitions. Before I do that, I'm going to use Shang-Chi to remove 2 threat from captured by Hydra. And now we're going to use lethal intent. Choose up to X technique upgrades you control. Resolve each of their special abilities in the order of your choice. So I'm going to use lethal intent. I'm going to spend 2 resources to pay for it. And so both of these cutthroat ambitions go off. So I'm going to remove 3 threat from captured by Hydra. And I'm going to remove 3 threat from hunting down heroes. Captured by Hydra goes to the victory display. This ally comes into my hand. That is Elektra. It says after you play Elektra from your hand, spend a fist resource, deal 3 damage to an enemy. Hang on to her until I get a fist resource, and she can do extra damage. Yeah. I'll just hang on to her. Let's do that. I got both cutthroat ambitions on the table, so only one of those will probably trigger because of hunting down heroes, unless I get more side schemes on the table during Taskmaster's turn. So with Moon Knight then, I got to put 1 consequential damage into Shang-Chi. With Moon Knight, we're going to do 2 damage to Taskmaster, knocking him down to 3. And then, so... play only if your identity has the Guardian trait. We do. Increase your ally limit by 1. Response after a player plays a Guardian ally, exhausts nowhere, and that player draws a card. Okay. Alright, so we'll end my turn. I'll advance the phase, turn things over to Taskmaster. Let me back up a little bit so that things are a little bit less cluttery on the table. So we've got the support, which is nowhere. We've got Gamora. We've got Moon Knight. We've got Shang-Chi. I could have put Elektra out, but I didn't. I've got Cosmo. I could put him out. Yeah. And I got Weapons Master in my hand. Okay. Hunting down heroes. We place 1 threat on hunting down heroes. The force response tells us that we either place 1 threat here or take a damage. We're going to place 1 threat on hunting down heroes. Taskmaster's not going to attack because he's stunned, and his encounter card is an assault, so he is going to attack. And I think we're going to defend that with Shang-Chi. Oh, by the way, I need 1 consequential damage on Moon Knight too. Shang-Chi is going to defend this attack. Discard that. The attack hits him for 4. So Shang-Chi is discarded. I'm not really sad because you see that I'm getting ready to deck myself, so these 0 cost allies will circulate back around. And keep in mind, I am playing, if you tuned in late, I'm playing a Precon deck, so they're not optimized. So getting these 0 cost allies into the encounter deck and recirculating them is going to be a big deal. But that's the end of Taskmaster's turn. Let's turn things back over to, let's advance the phase. Turn things back over to Nebula. Let's move things in a little tighter here so we can read the cards. All right, So we've got Taskmaster now on the table. He's got 3 health left. With Nebula, we're going to trigger her special ability on both of these cutthroat ambitions. They're going to go away. It's only going to remove 2 threat. That may have been a wrong decision earlier, but hey, I've got no threat on the main scheme. I can't argue with that. Cutthroat ambition, discarded. Okay, I've got Weapons Master in hand. While in hero form, Nebula gains Retaliate 1. Deal 4 damage to an enemy is the special on that. Alright. Cosmo. When Cosmo attacks or thwarts, name a card type, then discard the top card of a deck. If that card is the name type, Cosmo does not take consequential damage. Okay. Let me see how many cards are left in the... I don't necessarily want to discard cards from the encounter deck because I don't want to risk flipping that last side scheme that gives me free allies. So, and I do want to cycle my deck. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay for Cosmo using... Let's see, I got Electra. Let's put Electra. That's going to flip Taskmaster. What happens when Taskmaster flips? I can't remember. I think he just simply deals an encounter card. So let's do that. Let's put Electra on the table. She's going to, after you play Electra from your hand, spend a fist resource, deal 3 damage to an enemy. So we're going to use Nebula's ship to pay that fist resource to do 3 damage in the Taskmaster. 1, 2, 3. So stage 1 of Taskmaster is defeated. We bring out stage 2. Now it says when revealed, deal each player an encounter card. I remember that right. And then he has that force response. After a player changes the hero form, they discard the top card of their deck, take damage equal to the number of boost icons on that card. So we know how that works. We saw that earlier. But the new one is to deal us an encounter card. He's got 16 health. Can we sew this thing up? So after a player plays a Guardian ally, exhausts nowhere, that player draws a card. So I could put Cosmo out. I could spend the Power of Justice, right? And I can spend Justice Served to put Cosmo out. His interrupt says when Cosmo attacks or thwarts, name a card type, then discard that. Okay, so that's only after he attacks or thwarts. But because we played Nowhere, we can exhaust that to draw a card. And we drew Brains over Brawn. So that will allow us to get our Weapon Master out. And that's great. So Brains over Brawn. We're going to spend Brains over Brawn to put out the Weapon Master. Now I get Retaliate of 1. I deal 4 damage to an enemy. Nebula is going to do 2 damage to Taskmaster, knocking him down to 14. Electra is going to do 3 damage to Taskmaster, knocking him down to 11. Gamora is going to do 2 damage to Taskmaster. And Moon Knight is going to do 2 damage to Taskmaster. Cosmo, I'll exhaust Cosmo to do 1 damage to Taskmaster. I'm going to say that the top card of my deck is an event. And it is an event. Combat ready. So I don't take any damage on Cosmo. But we do 1 damage to Taskmaster, right? Yeah. Okay. So Taskmaster's now down to 6. I have Retaliate. So if I can just survive this turn, that would be fantastic. Alright. So we're going to advance the phase. Turn things over to Taskmaster. Yep, and I'm going to deck myself so I get dealt 1 more encounter card. So this is Taskmaster's last stand, really. This is where he really needs to pour it on. Let me back up a little bit and put Cosmo over here. So I've got, because I have that Nowhere, I've got 4 allies on the table now. Moon Knight needed to take a consequential damage. I keep forgetting to do that. Electra took hers. Yes, good. Weapon Master. I got Retaliate. So, hunting down heroes. We're going to place 1 threat there. We're going to place another threat on hunting down heroes instead of taking the damage. Taskmaster attacks. I'm going to defend with Moon Knight. So Taskmaster attacks Moon Knight for 2 + 1 is 3. Discarding Moon Knight. He's gone. Discard. And so I've got these encounter cards over here. We're going to deal them one at a time. I got to deal one more to myself. The first one is Inferiority Complex. Give to the Nebula player. You may flip to alter ego form. Choose. Exhaust your alter ego. Remove Inferiority Complex from the game. Or choose and discard 2 technique upgrades you control. If no upgrades were discarded this way, this card gains Surge. Discard this obligation. So it gives me a choice to get rid of a couple of technique upgrades I control. If no upgrades were discarded this way, this card gains Surge. So I can't choose and discard 2 technique upgrades. I've only got 1, so I have to flip over to my alter ego form, and I'm going to exhaust to get rid of Inferiority Complex. Discard this card. Okay. Next encounter is Taskmaster Sword. It says attach to Taskmaster. Taskmaster's attacks gain piercing. Exhaust your hero and spend a mental and a physical resource to discard this card. So it's just an attachment that goes on to him. And then the last one is a Hydra Hunter, Hydra Hunter's attacks gain piercing and ranged, but he is not a guard, and that's important. So I think I got this game won now, because the Taskmaster Sword does not protect the Taskmaster, surprisingly. It just does damage. Hydra Hunter is not a guard, and so I can attack Taskmaster all day long. So let's turn things back over to myself, advance the phase, turn things back over to Nebula. I've got 6 damage showing on the table. Taskmaster has 6 health left, so we're going to exhaust Elektra to do 3 damage to Taskmaster. I'm going to allow my friends to take care of business here. So Gamora is going to do 2 damage to Taskmaster, and we'll discard her. And then Cosmo is going to do a damage to Taskmaster, knocking him all the way down to 0. So Nebula is a powerful hero, even in her Precon form. I love the techniques. I love putting them out on the table. I love Nebula's ship. You can use it in any form that you're in. The ability to search through and find side schemes that can well, in this case, the MVP was really the free allies that I put out there, right? So I got a lot of value out of those free allies just by rescuing them, and I was able to somehow remove a lot of threat with this deck using her techniques. So that was pretty cool. So this was a fun game. I feel like I cheated a little bit because I was going up against Taskmaster with Nebula. I'll try Nebula again against another hero. Maybe I'll take Nebula up against the Green Goblin and see how she does against him with that mutagen formula. I think I'll do that next. So next time I play, that's what I'll do. I'll use my Nebula. I'm going to travel down Precon Alley against a recommended setup for a standard game of Green Goblin using the mutagen formula. How will she do against him? That should be interesting. So tune in next time, folks. To me, the Board Game Lawyer, you can catch me here on Twitch. You can also catch me on YouTube. I answer messages over there on YouTube. I generally post videos up there after I play here on Twitch, and I also play with real cards. You'll also see that I'm planning a series that has to do with the brand new card game coming out from Fantasy Flight Games. That's Star Wars Unlimited. And there's this week, Friday, is the actual launch of the game. We had the pre-release last weekend, so here we are. We're at the beginning of March. So March is going to be good for me because there's new product coming for Star Wars. There's going to be some new product coming for Marvel Champions that I'm looking forward to. A whole new campaign box. So March is going to be a fun event, fun month for card games from Fantasy Flight Games. So good job over there, Fantasy Flight Games, for putting out some wonderful, cool, and fun product for us all to look forward to and play with. Play with our friends. Play, or if you if you, for some chance, are home alone like me, you can play some Marvel Champions and play some solo events as well. So, anyhow, had fun this evening. Thanks for watching. I am the Board Game Lawyer. Take care, everybody.